Don't fret, we're back. We've been reading your comments and you all asked for this, so I'm here to bring you our list of the top 10 Minecraft Creepypastas Part 2. Hey guys, welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Lucy McPhee. Before we begin though, I just want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Wix. Wix is a platform that allows you to build your own website, enabling you to create whatever you would like. It's ideal for all levels, whether you're a novice or an advanced website designer. There's a professional solution for every need, regardless of what you're building your website for. Take a look at the one we made on our sister channel, Top 10 Nerd. You have infinite design possibilities, and not only that, but Wix takes care of all of the heavy lifting, i.e. custom domains, reliable hosting to keep your website safe and secure, and email marketing. There's a bunch of cool features that can highlight your content, like interactive elements such as full-width slideshows. You can even create your own stunning blog if you would like to. If you want to check out Wix, take a look at the link in the video description below, and be sure to check out the website we made on Top 10 Nerd. We will be taking creepypasta submissions and posting them on our website, so make sure to give us your best ones. Alright, now that's covered, let's jump in. In at 10, Green Steve. Now this creepypasta is a classic, and although debunked, I still think it deserves a place on our list. Created by Chicken78, they detail their experience playing Minecraft on the 1.8 update. They found a desert temple, breaking down the blue block and jumping down the hole. The player attempted to set off some TNT, but it didn't work. Then a Steve-esque character jumped down, only he was green. He hit the player before the room began to fill with creepers. Freaked out, the player quit the game and returned to it the next day. Thankfully, he was no longer in the creeper cave, but he was in a forest. A message began to pop up on his screen from Green Steve. It said, "I am coming." He found a house and immediately went in, but Green Steve appeared behind him, saying, "Hello, brother." The player then blew up. He deleted the world and immediately contacted the Minecraft devs. They responded by saying that one of the devs wanted to add Green Steve to the game, but they said no, but they caught him doing it anyway. Creepy. There are a handful of videos of Green Steve online, take a look. In at 9, Ember420. This unnamed user describes a creepy experience battling an ender dragon. They were heading for their stronghold for their boss fight. Entering, they noticed the portal sound was not the one they were accustomed to. It sounded like a scream. They also noticed that above them it was just air, no end stone. They began to climb anyway, heading for the end fountain, and in the distance they spotted the ender dragon flying straight towards them. Before the fight, the player had prepared, sharpening their sword to 1000, which would deal 500 damage, knowing the dragon had only 200 health. This should have been an easy battle. However, the player swung their sword, but the dragon only dropped to 50% health. The attack should have easily killed it. The player then pulled out their bow, shooting 20 arrows per second at the beast. It began to glitch, spinning around unlike the normal death animation. After a few moments, it halted, and the player noticed their own health bar had dropped to half a heart. They ran towards the end portal, but before they could leave, they looked up. Instead of a dragon egg, there was now a sign in its place. It read, "Woe to the player that has angered Ember420. Confused, the player jumped through the portal anyway, but instead of credits, another message popped up. Banned for 10 minutes, written in blood red. It also went on to read, "Ember420 is after you. Ember420 is here. I'm here." The color then changed from red to gold, and it displayed one last message. "I am Ember420. In at 8, Abandoned. This creepypasta is short but still very effective. Our author describes being bored one day, so he jumped onto a game of Minecraft, as you do. He clicked on the play button looking through his worlds, but one jumped out. It was labelled Abandoned. He couldn't recall ever creating it, but decided to click on it anyway. Everything appeared normal except the sky was darker than usual. Ignoring it, he began to collect wood and craft swords. He made a house and a bed and went to sleep. However, when his character woke up, he was in a different room. It was completely dark with a sign that read just one word: abandoned. He decided to send his character back to bed, hoping things would revert back to normal when he woke up, but this time he spawned into a dark hallway. He could only walk. As he reached the end, a black shadow emerged. It started to run, faster and faster until it was almost directly in front of him. Right before it reached him, the player was kicked out of the game. Guess we'll never know what the shadowy figure wanted, or what would have happened if the game hadn't booted him out. In at 7, Jim. Posted by Will Zombie, this creepypasta describes how he was checking out his Minecraft world, Creepland. He began to mine for ores, and while doing so his friend Peter asked to join the game. Not wanting to go in the mine, the player met Peter outside. Thunderstorms began rolling in, so they both ventured back to the player's house. However, on the way to the house, Peter completely disappeared. He checked to see if he was still in the world, but he was gone. Suddenly he heard a crackling noise. The back of his house was on fire. Knowing there was no way to put it out, he went to the nearest cave to seek shelter. Peter then re-entered the game, explaining that his game had crashed and he was booted out, but only after he caught a stone block move out of the corner of his eye. The two decided to split up in an attempt to figure out what caused the fire and the moving block. The player then stumbled across a stronghold, telling Peter about it as he got closer. Peter was gone though. Scared, the player ran into the stronghold, and there in front of him was a sign that read, "Jim is here." He then heard an ear-piercing noise coming from the other side of the door. He opened it and bam, his game crashed. Who is Jim and why is he sabotaging players' worlds? In at 6, he sees you. This creepypasta comes from Block H1234. They tell us the story of jumping into Minecraft 1.8 and creating a new world called My Survival World. As the world loaded up, he noticed a blacked out figure in one of the caves. Ignoring it, he continued on, chopping down trees to build a crafting table. But while he was doing that, he was overcome with a feeling like someone was watching him, and turned around but no one was there, just some sheep and cows. He ignored his gut feeling and started building his own house, and then went on the hunt for a cave. Found one on the mountain and ran towards it, mining iron, coal and cobblestone. But as he attempted to leave, the exit was blocked. He created another exit instead and successfully managed to get out, beneath the sun and blue sky. But this wasn't real, it was just his imagination. It was the middle of the night and he could see hostile figures coming towards him. He ran towards his house as fast as he could to escape the mob. He went to sleep, but before he did, he saw a shadowy figure watching him from a distance through his window. The next day he went to investigate, finding a sign that read, "I see you." The player then heard screaming coming from his own house. He went to the hallway to investigate but heard nothing. He went back to his computer, but his character was now trapped inside a bedrock chamber. A black figure stood in front of him. It got closer and closer and closer before a message popped up that read, "I'd be running if I were you." Then the player's bedroom door flew open and a black figure appeared with yellow eyes. The next thing he knew, he was in the hospital. The doctors had told him he had fallen off a cliff. Freaky. In at number 5, 11. This pasta comes from an unknown user who was playing on a private Minecraft server. He had finally reached the end, surrounded by a vast ocean. He was equipped with diamond equipment and began to attack the dragon, easily defeating it. He collected the egg and ventured back home. The end music played and he spawned back in his stronghold. However, things weren't quite right. The music he had left playing was no longer on, but had now been replaced by 11, a nightmare-inducing soundtrack. Soon after, a message appeared on the screen. 11 had joined the game. A message from 11 then popped up. The world will fall. Chaos, order, the past, the future. To one of these, the world will fall. Creeped out, the player requested to teleport to him. 11 accepted. He then spawned inside a mansion with massive spires and ice falling from the ceiling. There stood 11. His skin was generic, he had oversized eyes and a diamond sword on his back. The odd thing though was that his eyes were completely black. 11 then began typing in Latin. Thankfully, our player knows Latin, because don't we all? He translated some of the text that read, "All praise." However, it was the last piece of text that shook our user. 11 wrote his real name. Creepy. In at 4, Little Piggy. So this very weird creepypasta was posted by Frankie about an incident that occurred a few months prior. He was living with his parents and his 6-year-old brother Justin. During Justin's birthday, their mum gifted him with a Minecraft toy, a pig plush. Justin named it Little Piggy. How cute. During the night, Frankie was playing GTA 4 on his computer when Justin came in telling him that he had lost Little Piggy already. Frankie grabbed a flashlight and they went downstairs together, searching each room for the toy. They reached the kitchen, but Frankie felt uneasy, like something wasn't quite right. The air was bitter and Justin began to shiver. They then heard footsteps. Turning around and shining the flashlight, they saw nothing. Then out of the silence they heard oink. They reached the dining table and there he was, Little Piggy sitting on the table. He hugged it and then they heard it again. Oink. Frankie looked down at the pig. but it was now gone, and so was Justin. He tried to turn on the lights, but they quickly shut off. Heading down to the basement to find the generator, he heard a cry for help. He ran around the basement that had filled with fog, but Justin was nowhere to be found. Out of the darkness, he heard grunt over and over again, sounding more like a boar than a pig. Scared, Frankie, forgetting about the generator, ran up the stairs and stumbled into Justin's room. He turned around and saw it. A boar with long tusks and glowing red eyes. He ran towards it, hitting it repeatedly with his flashlight until the grunting ceased. Behind the boar shook Frankie to his core, Justin's lifeless body. In at 3, name data. Posted by Dark Wither, this user describes playing a game of Minecraft with a few of their friends. Walking around, the player was going to meet up with their friends, but they weren't responding. They checked to see if they were still in the chat, but it said they had all been killed by the same user. Name data. Not worrying too much about it, they ventured on through a forest before finding a village. They had 4 emeralds and traded 2 for a diamond sword. Steal. They eventually fell asleep in the librarian's house. Waking up, there was now a church outside that wasn't there before, and a name tag inside that they couldn't quite make out. Thinking it was one of their friends, they got closer to the church, and the name tag became clearer. It read, name data. Getting closer, they realized there was a second name tag labeled this. They went inside, seeing it was a skeleton, but name data was nowhere to be found. They went outside and there it was, name data running away. The player chased after it. It eventually stopped and turned around. It had typical skin but with dark eyes, then started screaming. The game then glitched and crashed. As it shut down, a message appeared on the screen. Name data is coming to your house to kill you at 3 AM. The player shut off their computer and never played it again. Classic. In at 2, player 51. This user details playing on a private Minecraft survival server. He was collecting wood with a few friends for their house when he noticed some obsidian blocks floating in the sky. They used cobblestone to build up to them, but as they reached them they disappeared, causing the players to fall to their deaths. When they respawned, the player's friend said there was an error sign in the area. He went over to investigate but found nothing. They continued on completing the house, but after the player checked the server to see who placed the blocks and sign, he found an entity named Player 51. He clicked back onto the server, spawning inside a small room, entirely made up of obsidian blocks. He quickly realized he was the only player in the server, so he exited and started a new single player game. Once again though, he was spawned into a small room filled with obsidian, but there was now a door. He opened it and it led him into the actual world. It began to get dark, so he mined a small room in the mountain and went to sleep, but as soon as he did, he heard the door in his room open. When he awoke, it was closed. The next day he began to craft new tools, but on his return to his shelter he had footsteps approaching from behind. He turned around to see a dark figure with white glowing eyes. He chased after it. It turned and attacked the player with an iron sword. The game then crashed and a message appeared. Die. And finally, in at number 1, a friend. An unnamed user described staying up late one night and hopping onto a Minecraft server. He logged in, clicking edit to view some new snapshots. Ignoring the disclaimer, he saw the latest snapshot. Instead of the typical numbers, it said Friend Edition. Finding it odd, he downloaded it anyway. It took 42 minutes to download, much longer than usual. It eventually loaded up and he jumped in. He noticed the world seemed far more beautiful than before, as though the game had improved, or as though he was using a resource pack but he knew he wasn't. He clicked on his inventory but found nothing, so he decided to delete it. Instead, jumping into a world he had been working through for a while. He began to mine for iron, but eventually discovered something he'd been hunting for a while, diamond ore. He mined it and then quickly discovered another one. He had hit the jackpot. He mined and then rushed to exit the cave he was in. Only sand began to rush down, trapping him in. He attempted to mine his way out, but the stone was acting like bedrock and it began to fade to a dark texture. He wanted to exit the world but was too scared. Within the cave he began to hear footsteps, getting closer and closer and closer. He stopped, unable to move, before a humanoid player began to approach him with an emo-esque skin. A name tag appeared that read, Friend. The stranger typed, "Is this your world?" He responded, "Yes, why?" The stranger responded, "Liar, this is my world, I own this place." He stood there before being engulfed in the darkness. The bedrock then changed to endstone and the player was able to mine himself out, before he heard a deafening stomping in the cave. A purple boss bar appeared and the name said, friend. Spikes began to appear, almost impaling the player, and the fireballs flew out of the stranger straight towards the player. He ran towards the stranger swinging his sword, but no damage was taken. The stranger charged, knocking him down and leaving him with half a heart. One last fireball was thrown before the player died. Instead of the typical "you died" screen, this one was much darker and more sinister. The stranger was holding the player's head on a stick. Exiting the game, he attempted to jump into one of the other worlds, but they were all on fire, sabotaged by the stranger. Going back to his game, there were files labeled friend. He immediately deleted them, and returning to his files, a new world appeared that said, you. He clicked on it and text appeared. It read, "You tried to delete me. Why would you do such a thing? There's only one place where you belong." They engaged in one final boss battle, our player getting defeated once again. His game crashed and he went to bed, hiding under the covers before hearing a voice in his ear. "You were just like my other victims, weak and fun. Thank you." Alright, were these creepy enough for you? Do you still want more? Let us know all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 3. Once again, thank you to our sponsor today, Wix. Make sure you click on that link in our description and check out the website we made for our sister channel Top 10 Nerd. And don't forget to submit your creepypasta submissions and maybe you'll see them on our website. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss another gaming vid. And until next time, see you later.